Be strong. What does it mean to be strong when the heart aches and there is no hope in sight? When holding back tears no longer helps? When the road is rough and it weighs you down? How do we stay strong? Stay strong in community because there is a better life in leading others. Though our lives may not be perfect and we can't promise you there will be days without the dark clouds, but we can promise to be there when it rains and when it hurts. We will be there with you when all seems bleak. We will guide you to wholeness. We are living your dreams.
The joy is to understand your thoughts. So not just your thoughts on the matter, but how you are also feeling on the matter without criticizing you. Some people say, you didn't say it well. You didn't say it well. When someone is feeling pain, understand it first. And you know what makes anxiety to drop? The moment you say to the person, I understand what you're trying to say, tension automatically drops. But if the person has finished talking, as the person says, are you done? Are you done? Once he says, are you done? You're about to start a court section. Say, I want to address you. I want to pick it up from here. You see, when you said that what I did was very bad, I want to explain to you how that matter. You didn't acknowledge the person's feelings. You didn't acknowledge what the person said. You didn't acknowledge you understood the person, but you want to make sure that you rubbish the person as invaluable communicator, that the person is a bad communicator. It doesn't work marriages. It can work in law. It can work in the market where they are selling shoes and bags. But a marriage relationship, that does not work. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. So, what do we gain from here? I must affirm you when you have said the things you want to say. I must affirm you. I understand what you're saying. Is that how you're feeling it? Affirm before you start saying, okay, let us see it this way. Let us see it that way. Please, before you criticize, the person who is saying something, the person's judgment and decision is based on the person's information. That's why you must verify assumption, double check for assumption. That's why you must communicate your expectation. If you do not communicate your expectation, one person will go away with an assumption. Some people are afraid to communicate their expectation. You know why? If I communicate my expectation, fight will start. If I communicate my expectation, you will not even acknowledge my expectation, you will start fighting me. That's why commandment number 3 said, strive to understand, don't criticize. Don't take the bullet and turn on me as if we're in a law court. Understand first so that the tension will drop. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. At the first service, I said something that I have sat down, looked at our world, looked at relationships, looked at marriages. I'm asking myself another kind of question. Should we be doing marriage counseling for people who are getting married, or should we be doing they call it premarital counseling. That's what we call it, premarital counseling. Should we be doing premarital counseling, or should we be doing pre-engagement counseling? I think that the right thing will be for us to do pre-engagement counseling. Why? Because when people have made up their mind that they are going to marry, they come to your school and say, we have decided that we're going to marry, we have come to enroll. What they are going through at that particular point in time is no more checking to see whether this is what God said they should do. It's no more checking to see whether this is the right person. They have passed that hurdle. What they are now here to do is that the marriage is as good as done. We just want to now begin to teach them the principles of marriage, biblical foundations of marriage, and all of that. But in pre-engagement counseling, we're asking a different question altogether. Question number 1, what made you think that this person is the person? Question number 2, what are your life values? How does your life value and this person's life value come together? On what premise? What are your core values? What is your culture? Now that you have shown me your core value and you have shown me your culture, how do two of you think that this can work together? In pre-engagement, we're looking at questions that borders on why should we be dating? What are the questions we should ask ourselves before we date? See, in this time of packaging, one has to be careful. I think I was reading something, and the man was saying that she didn't know that when she and the girl were dating, she kept saying, the girl I want to marry will do something like this. The girl I want to marry will want. So all the things he said, the girl recreated it in their relationship, but that's not who the girl is. I like a girl that when I'm talking, she's very quiet, she doesn't talk. I like a girl, yes, the girl kept quiet. Meanwhile, the girl is a tigress. I like a girl that when it comes to my house like this, as I come, you just take broom and sweep everywhere. Anytime the girl comes to visit, the girl will take a broom and sweep, including go to sweep the entire compound. The boy said, Choma. She didn't know that the girl was using perfected presentation. What was his charm? This is what you want, I'll give it to you. But at the premarital counseling, the person who is asking the question is also checking in the spirit, then asking the family, look at what these people are talking about. Should we go on or should we not go on? So those of you who hide by the corner to date someone and quickly collect bride price by yourself for sleeping with the person, it has to stop. Pre-engagement. Because, see, there are two kinds of questions. Pastor Ben will tell you, there's a difference between what is right and who is right. In business, who is right works. In politics, who is right. But you see, in marriage, it is more of what is right. Because when we enter, we have passed who happened before we entered. So we must strive for understanding. I know that many of you here know how to criticize. With Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, criticism is now a part of life. If anybody put any post, you can go there and say whatever you like. The way they take and they enter marriage. Marriage is a lot of understanding. So which means children don't marry. You don't marry because you have money or you marry because you are poor. You marry because you have matured in her marriage. Listen, if a child wants something, a child wants it now. If you refuse to give it to a child, he will throw tantrum and begin to cry. Everywhere will be hot. But when a man is now throwing tantrums, it means that he escaped into marriage mistakenly. There are people who mistakenly became fathers, mistakenly became mothers. In fact, by my estimation, they should have still been in secondary school in spite of their age. Because when they act, some people, their action and their first son's action, the first son even acts more mature than the father. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. In striving to understand one another, we must understand that there is a difference between principles and preferences. In striving to understand one another, we must understand that. What are principles? Principles are the keys by which we live life. What are preferences? Preferences, we can let it go. We can find our overlap. If this is what you want, we can find a way to, you win some, you know that kind of thing. Someone said, the fight of two dogs, you fall for me, I fall for you. If this is what we are working on, if this handkerchief is what we are working on, we must find where we overlap. But in principles, if your husband gets up today and say, that I have thought about it through the night, we want to create a second stream for our family. And that second stream is that you go to Italy for prostitution. That's a preference. That's not a principle. And when it has to do with preference, things you know would destroy your soul, please don't. For those of us who are not married here now, the society is wonderful. You meet this girl who tells you, have you seen Patrick? Have you seen Caleb? Have you seen Odinaka? This have you seen that she's saying to you. She's going somewhere. She's going somewhere. Valentine just ended 2 days ago. She was expecting that you will come and drop heavy gift, iPhone 13 for her. Instead, you constructed a very powerful text message. My babe or my boo, life has been different and meaningful since you became a part of my life. Before you are and you owe, I have searched my life. By this time, 14 last year, I was down with drugs and alcohol. But this year, because you have been a part of my life, my values have changed. I just want to let you know that the best thing that happened to my life is the day you stepped into my life. I love you, my darling. And because poverty has wounded you before time, negodi. You will, the text message for you will mean nothing. You say, okay, let me wait. This is still 12 noon. I'm sure he's still coming like my knight in white shining armor. And the next time he calls you, how are you? Happy Valentine. I just want you to know that my life is different because of you. The boy is using his whole heart that God gave him to appreciate you. Because poverty. You are still waiting that he's coming with iPhone 13. And unfortunately, your friend's boyfriend just bought her the latest iPhone 13. They just bought this one, the latest Apple laptop. And they have even put it on their picture display to say they wrote, the man in my world just surprised me with a line of Apple. And you are angry. You are angry. You are so angry. 6 o'clock, he phones you again. Okay, according to Shadrach, have you eaten? God will help the boy. Oh dear Lord, have I eaten by 6 o'clock? You know the shame. Is that what other boys are telling their women? Look at you. That is the day they curse your mom used to curse your dad. You borrow from them. You will abuse life out of him without you knowing that he had a different surprise altogether. Listen, don't ever let anybody in life put you under pressure. Don't let a girl shagalo you into Yahoo 19. Don't let a girl shagalo you into any. Don't let anybody put you under pressure. Listen, someone was sharing with me and said, he said, Mama, if you say that girl is an ashawo, for instance, everybody will see the girl as a very bad person, very spoiled. But when you say that girl is a runs girl, yeah, it's tush. It's a it's a career. He said, in fact, they were telling me at Ubo said a God-fearing Yahoo boy. think it was on Sunday. I was going home and something popped up, and I was reading that on social media. A CNN reporter was saying that himself and the wife had decided to part ways. However, a casual friend and himself went out to go and eat, and they started gisting. While they were gisting, two of them discovered that they had a desire to have more children. So they decided to partner together. They are not dating, they are not planning to marry, they decided to partner together as business partners to bring a baby, to bear forth a baby. So the baby has come now. We should allow them to just celebrate this, their joy. There is nothing holding them together. It's just a business partnership or bringing a child. Waiting when I go take marriage, see for this life. I read it, I was dazed. At what point has bringing out children coming to the world, something as serious as bringing out that human being, two human beings sit down like this and discuss and say, I have the desire. It's like going to buy shawarma from the supermarket. Say, I'm hungry, I want to eat shawarma. Let's go and eat shawarma. A human being. Lift your hand and say, Father, help us. So I was saying that we must try and find the overlap. And how do we find the overlap? Let's celebrate each other's differences. See, I'm holding this microphone. If we are quarreling over something, and what you want is from here to where my hand is, I want to make an illustration. I'm holding two microphones. This is what you want. You want this microphone to face right. I want this microphone to face left. What you want is different from what I want. The question is this: because two of us are valuable members of this relationship, the relationship is not all about you. You are not the only one in this relationship. And the other person who is in this relationship with you, it's not cement that is running through the person's vein. It is blood. We are going to find a way to find where everybody must shift ground. It is a dictatorship position to say, I won't shift ground, I won't shift ground. All of us must shift ground in such a way that we can have a healthy relationship. And I want you to understand that you must not always win all the arguments. You mustn't win all. Sometimes just allow the other person to let's shift ground. The world will be a better place when all of us begin to say, okay, I'm going to shift. I allow you to have some of the things that you need, and so you allow me to have. So we find our overlap while we celebrate our differences. I've told you severally in this church that after I met Pastor Ben, I discovered he has a very quiet disposition. Not that he's quiet. Has a very quiet disposition. Very quiet disposition. And so he can sit down in one place, and people are running around that the sound is not working well. He will still sit down there and cross his leg, and it doesn't bother him. Whether it's bothering him, I don't know, and I'm not in his heart. I look at him. I said, this Pastor Ben, I want to copy this, I want to copy it. For 2 years. For 2 years. I almost died. I was doing a good job of trying to be like my husband. Good job. I was studying him. I would do it like that. I almost died. I almost lost my brain. And one day you told me, I'm not forcing you to be like me. I want you to be like yourself. And most times in relationship, all of us are compelling each other. You must be like me, and the other one is must be like. So we fight, and sometimes the fight is, you are not like me. Why are you not like me? I want you to be like me. So I'm going to force you. I will manipulate you. I will use distance. I will use malice. I will use punishment. I will discipline you until I force you to become like me. Forgetting that the expression of the Father is different from the expression of the Son, and the expression of the Son is different from the expression of the Holy Spirit. See, how you feel towards a matter is different from how I feel towards a matter. How do we accommodate each other's feeling without eliminating one person from this communication as a valuable contributor? Someone cannot be talking, say, shut up, what you're saying is not important. What you have done is that you have stabbed the person's identity. And we do it to our children a lot. When your children are trying to pull out the thing that they have on their inside, they can't talk at our rate. Many of us are not quite patient to sit down and listen to the child say what he wants to say. So you shut the child down because he can't talk at your rate. Because the children, they know what to say, but sometimes how to say it is where the challenge is. If you cannot be patient with your children, you better go and be a reverend father. He doesn't have a child, a reverend sister. Tell your neighbor patience. I can't hear. Tell your neighbor patience. Tell your neighbor be patient with me. Number 4. Thou shalt do what? Avoid the blame game. Focus on resolving the issues and do not attempt to make your spouse or the relationship the problem. Ladies and gentlemen, you are not the problem. I am not the problem. The problem is the problem. The moment you say you are the problem, the person will become defensive. And the person will start looking for grenade to use to shoot you. When people are having a challenge in your relationship, K is not the problem, Ben is not the problem. The problem is different from what it is. And we need to find the problem so that we can solve it. I was reading something this morning. I was reading about Jesus and his disciples. Jesus asked them, who do men say I am? And they started blabbing. Some say you are this, some say you are this, some say you are this. Okay. Who do you say I am? And before they could make mistake, the Holy Spirit took it over. At times when we are working at something and we can't find a way, we can all stop and begin to say, can we ask the Holy Spirit to help us make sense of what is happening? Marriage is a mystery. The Bible calls it a mystery. So which means it's not even easy to understand. Now look at marriage. When you went to school, they taught you that 1 plus 1 is what? 1 plus 1 is what? 2. In marriage, 1 plus 1 is what? Automatically confusion has come. Everything you were taught in school is spoiled by saying 1 plus 1. Because 1 plus 1 is 1, it means I'm not the problem. You are not the problem. No matter the person's behavior, don't make the person the problem. Let's isolate what is really causing this problem for us. If we find it, I said something. I said, keep on resolving the issues. Let's resolve the issues, not the person. What are our issues? Why are we not agreeing? Why do I feel you are the problem? Why do I feel that the reason why I'm not happy is you? I hear people say something. They say, if you are not a part of my life, I will really, really be happy. And some young people think that when I marry, I will eventually be happy. I'm not happy now because I'm not married. But the moment I marry, I will be very happy. Some people say, I'm not hardworking now because I'm not married. When I marry, I will be very hardworking. I'm not patient now because I'm not married. When I marry, I will now be patient. Question: what is it in love relationship that the moment you fall into it, patience will come immediately? What is it in love relationship, in heart connection? Now, in the first 6 months, because of the sweetness of love, the sweetness of your connection, you might begin to exhibit something that looks as if, oh, you have changed. But real change is a heart issue. And then we're going to take the last commandment because of our time. 1, 2, go. Thou shalt not what? What? Thou shalt not what? I can't hear you. Thou shalt not what? Thou shalt not what? Have you noticed that 2 of us will be working on something and all of a sudden, say, in fact, I'm done with this conversation. It's not a problem because I have to give you a safe place to breathe. Let's look at it. give myself and my spouse permission to take a time out from the discussion when it's requested. And as long as I give a specific time frame when we will resume problem solving. If people are working at something and you come to a brick wall, and the other person says, in fact, I'm done with this conversation. I'm not continuing this conversation again. Allow the person. Don't go, where are you? Where do you think you're going to? Are you walking out on me? Where do you think you're going to? Allow the person. Just be patient. It's, if you touch that door, you don't know me. Give the person time out. And you that call time out, you must also call time in. Don't use it as a defense strategy to move. If you said, I'm not discussing now, I understand. When are we going to discuss? And you that they told, I'm not discussing now. Don't say, Pastor K, say you should call time. Don't forget to call time in. No. As you're going, come back and call time in. Just be patient. Be patient. And come back when you have cooled off. And call for. Let's talk on that matter again. You know, someone now asked me, so when should we talk on that matter? The Bible said you should not allow the sun go down on your anger. What if our quarrel started, conflict started by 10:30 p.m.? The sun has already come down. The sun has already come down. So, yeah, it's a new day already, my darling. So, is it possible for us to say that let's allow time and space to pass? Then we can come back and say, okay, let's work on this. But it's not the person that said, that allowed you to go, that should call you back. In game of basketball, the people who calls time out is the person that says, I'm done, let's start again. Don't use it as a defense strategy. Don't use it to post someone. There are some people, the moment you bring up something for us to talk about, they will use every method in this world to make sure that argument will not see the light of the day. Either they will gaslight you on the moment, manipulate you, punish you, and then keep better malice with you. And you ask yourself, what did I do what did I do now? And here the answer say, I don't want to talk about this matter. Again, I don't want to talk about it. When you do that, you are using a sword to put in someone's heart. Please, when you call time out, also call time in. That's why we are Christians. So let's go through the 5 commandments one after the other. Number one. So all those of you who sell bottle, go and break your bottle. Go and break your bottle. There are some people who have bottled up for 6 years. And you won't know they have even bottled up. When the time comes, they have their journal keepers, archaeologists. So, wait, let me remind you. 26th of January, 2006. By 10 p.m., you told me that before any of your relations will come to this house, that we'll sit down and talk about it. 30th of March, 2007, 6 a.m., your mom and your 2 sisters came. I didn't say a word. I was waiting for you to say something. You didn't say. 6th of March, I can count it for you. Now I know how to keep records. I know how to keep. Listen, God gave you a gift to keep better records, not record of someone's wrong. It is a gift given to you so that you can keep proper record of the accounting system of your family, not horrible records of someone's wrong. The Bible says love does not keep a multitude of sin. What's commandment number 2? Are there people who assume here? You know yourself if you assume. Assumption happens when you be fast talking about something you are not sure of. You have finished beating the person, you will now realize that you just beat the wrong person. You are quarreling with him that he didn't pick up his phone. You are shouting and screaming. By the time you finish, they were going to DSS office. So they collected all their phones and kept it. He had told you they were going. You had assumed that they have finished. He doesn't want to talk to you. He is with BC. I'm looking at you with one corner of my eyes. I'm not saying such a thing cannot happen, but don't assume. Clarify. Number 3. Thou shalt not misunderstand. Understand the person's feelings. Understand the person's thoughts on the matter. And let the person see that you understood the person. Number 4 is what? Thou shalt avoid the blame game. Ladies and gentlemen, how did we lose the garden? How did we lose the garden? Look at how blame happens. The moment you stretch a finger at me, how many is pointing at you? How many is pointing at you? Sometimes we blame people as if we don't make mistakes. Avoid the blame game. Let's talk about it. There is something I personally do. If we have a conflict, I want to find out how I contributed to that conflict, because it always takes 2 people to tango. The last one. Thou shalt not. Are there people who shut down here? For many of us, that is the only relationship skill you know. Yes, for so many of us, that's the only relationship skill. The only thing you understand about relationship with anybody is that when anybody does anything against you, you don't understand. You won't communicate your expectation. You won't verify the assumption. You won't try to understand what the person has done. You'll start blaming the person before you know it. You know how we shut down? You just create a wall. And you tell yourself, I want to observe boundaries. I want to observe boundaries. By the time we go to check it, you have built Kuje prison hall in that relationship. The person cannot reach. In fact, you have built walls of Jericho. You say, no, I just put boundaries. Look at your mouth. Define boundaries. Praise the Lord. I think I'm done with the 5. We do 5 next week. Declare with me, say, Father, I ask you, grant me the wisdom, understanding, knowledge, not to shut down on anyone, to stop blaming people, to take responsibility instead of to blame. Help me to verify my assumption. Help me to communicate my expectation. Holy Spirit of God, help me to communicate my expectation when I need to. Help me to verify my assumption. In the name of Jesus. Help me to understand the other person. Help me to avoid the blame game. Help me to avoid the blame game. Help me not to shut down on my relationships. In Jesus' precious name. And so today I pray for you that not only have you heard a sermon, but have also received a command and a mandate to do things properly and better. In Jesus' precious name. Shalom, brothers and sisters.
Be strong. What does it mean to be strong when the heart aches and there is no hope in sight? When holding back tears no longer helps? When the road is rough and it weighs you down? How do we stay strong? Stay strong in community, because there is a better life in leading others. Though our lives may not be perfect, and we can't promise you there will be days without the dark clouds, but we can promise to be there when it rains and when it hurts. We will be there with you when all seems bleak. We will guide you to wholeness. We are living your dreams.